What's up, fellow Fraggle Rockians? Teddy Ballgame back in action and all that stuff. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in Chi-Town, and definitely loving the weather. Wanted to get into week 4, matchup number 5 of the Fraggle Rock League here. We've got Taking Robbie's Money versus Manningsception. Cliff coming out to a impressive 2-1 start. Had me kind of perplexed because I definitely did not have your team kind of making it through, and after 3 weeks being 2-1, I had you going 0-3 personally, and Taking Robbie's Money finally getting a W, which is always a nice thing. So let's get started. Cliff, how you feeling today, buddy? I know that you had a little bit of a rough night last night. It was good hanging out with you, and taking Robbie's Money. Wish you could have came on. It was a good time. But anyways, we'll dive right into it. Right now, it's a ESPN has it projected to be 113.91 in Manningsception's favor. Obviously, you guys all know I don't like ESPN projections, but it is what it is. Manningsception, he's got Phillip Rivers, Arian Foster, and C.J. Spiller as the quarterback and 2 RBs. Like Phillip Rivers against Jacksonville, he played well against Seattle, and definitely all that hype that Seattle's defense was going to tear it up on Phillip Rivers, but wasn't the case. He tore up the Seahawks and definitely put some numbers up. Jacksonville is starting Blake Bortles, so I got to believe that San Diego will run up pretty quickly, and Rivers will have a good game. I actually think that Rivers will actually, put up some solid numbers, but then after that they'll be blowing out Jacksonville and kind of pretty much running it most of the time in the second half. So for Phillip Rivers to give him a nice solid 15 points, reasonable, good spot, good start. Then you got Arian Foster and C.J. Spiller. Arian Foster coming back from injury. Alfred Blue really carried a lot of the, is ready to carry the load, and showed it last week in terms of all the carries that he got. Arian Foster, I don't know, those old man legs I've said it before. Hopefully you got somebody in the bench to kind of pick him up and kind of replace him later and down in the season. But for right now, Arian Foster against Buffalo, that Buffalo defense is pretty solid. So give Arian Foster 10 points because he's going to lose a touchdown to Alfred Blue. C.J. Spiller versus Houston. That Houston defense has been suspect. They've been having all kinds of issues. I'm always... Cliff, you're going to hate this, obviously, because I'm down on the Giants, but the Giants, they've been playing well last week, putting numbers against Houston. So C.J. Spiller against Houston, give him 9 points. So I think Fred Jackson will take bulk of the carries, and that's split carries right there right now, 50-50. For Taking Robbie's Money, you've got Tony Romo, Shane Vereen, and Pierre Thomas. Interesting there with Pierre Thomas, but I guess you couldn't really do it because you got buys. And by the way, it is the bye week, so everyone's trying to make moves and make adjustments to see what can maximize their team while their star players are currently sitting on the bench. Which for you, looking for Manningsception, you got A.J. Green and Marshawn Lynch, which last week was a tough one because you didn't start A.J. Green, and they started him and he went off. Hard to say. But, Tony Romo against New Orleans, I expect a shootout. It's at home in Dallas. And Rob Ryan, I don't know what's going on. That defense is supposed to be pretty stout. They were top 5 last year, and all of a sudden they've kind of not been that good. Hasn't been good. Anyways, Tony Romo, give him... He'll bounce back. I think he'll get 17 points. Shane Vereen and Pierre Thomas. Shane Vereen will against KC. That KC defense is rough. It's a Monday night game too, so depending on if you're winning or losing, hopefully maybe you're winning on that side, and Vereen, you don't need much from him, but you can expect some touchdowns from him. Well, actually 1 touchdown. I think 40 yards and a tutty, so it gives him 10 points. Pierre Thomas against Dallas. That Dallas team, surprisingly, has been pretty tough. I mean, they've been pretty strong, and that front 7, has really held their own against a lot of running backs. Pierre Thomas, give him 11. I think he runs for 50 yards and gets a touchdown against Dallas. For your flex and wide receivers, Taking Robbie's Money, you got Vincent Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, and Golden Tate. Favorable matchups, I would say, with Alshon Jeffrey. and that Green Bay, and they're actually playing tomorrow at noon, so you'll be able to catch that. And Jeffrey, big target. Color likes throwing to his big targets, B. Marsh and Jeffrey. So give Alshon Jeffrey, give him 10. No, I'll give him 12. Victor Jansen against Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh defense got decimated with injuries last week, and I think they're going to be suspect. But the thing is that you've got a second-string quarterback coming in with McNown being injured. I think it's Glennon that's going to be QBing for you guys, for Tampa, and that's going to be a tall order because they're going to need a lot of help from the muscle hamsters. So I don't see VJax getting a lot of points. I see VJax only getting 5 points just because they're going to be running the ball a lot, especially against Pittsburgh and their weak defense because of all the injuries they've had recently. So Golden Tate against the Jets. Stafford put up shitty numbers last week, man. Had him as a quarterback, and I don't know what the hell is going on. I expect him to bounce back. I expect him to have a better game and not throw as many picks because it was freaking Green Bay. I don't know what was going on with that one. So Golden Tate, I expect to bounce back. Obviously, Calvin Megatron's going to get most of the carries and touchdowns and catches, but Golden Tate, give him 7. I think he puts up some 70 yards receiving, and Detroit gets back on it. Manningception, you've got in your flex Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson, and Victor Cruz. Greg Jennings against Atlanta. Solid. You got Teddy Bridgewater now, so he's going to be able to make plays with his feet, and I think Craig Jennings is going to reel in some catches and actually some good solid catches too. Give him 8 points, 80 yards. Jordy Nelson and Victor Cruz. Jordy Nelson, he's always a good target, and Aaron Rodgers always has a bunch of targets. Last week's game was a little odd for both teams in terms of the Packers and the Lions. Let's give Jordy Nelson, give him 16 points. I think he goes off and goes big, especially, against Chicago. They're depending on who's lining with Kyle Fuller, covering Jordy Nelson. You could have someone. He's been solid. He played well this past week, and we'll see about that Bears secondary. But Bears also have a lot of injuries on defense too, so I expect the Packers to do fairly well against the Bears, and Jordy Nelson put up some really good numbers. Victor Cruz against Washington. That Washington defense has been pretty stout, the last few weeks, and they've been kind of trying to hang in there, and also they've had injuries too. This season's been full of injuries. I don't know what the heck's going on here, but you got to make plays and you got to be able to make it happen. Victor Cruz, I've been down on the Giants, but lately, after them beating up on Houston last week, and I think getting in the groove with the McAdoo offense, I think it's coming along. We'll see how that goes the rest of the year, but and see how that goes against Washington. But I got a strong feeling that the offense is going to go off and they're going to do well. I don't know why. Maybe it's just intuition, or it's some Asian intuition. I don't know. Anyways, Victor Cruz, give him 12 points because I think he's going to put up 12 points automatically. There's just a gut feeling. At tight end, Manny Stephen's got Greg Olson, and taking Resman got Delaney Walker. Man, nice pickup there, taking Robbie's money. I wonder what made you pick up Delaney Walker. Especially because he's been pretty solid as the number 2 fantasy running back, scoring wise. This season, nice pickup. I like that pickup, and I know that depending on if Jake Locker or Charlie Whitehurst are playing on Sunday, assuming Jake Locker's wrist injuries, it's not bad. I gotta expect them throwing at Delaney a lot because he's the most targeted guy on the team. So against Indy, against my beloved Colts, which is a tough one to say, but I think Delaney Walker puts up solid numbers because the Colts have a tough time against the tight ends. Give him 17 points, 2 touchdowns, and 50 yards. Not bad for a waiver wire pickup there. Greg Olson against Baltimore. I think Baltimore's getting back into it. Greg Olson and Cam Newton, they'll be on the same page, always on the same page, and give Greg Olson 12. I like this matchup. It's a solid matchup because it's the two teams that were kind of considered down and out. I don't see any changes that could be because you guys all have bye players on the bench. There really isn't anything that I would say to make changes on. Yeah. So, but looking at it all in the overall scope of things, I got to give the win to Manningception. Sorry, taking Robbie's money. Clip, you're proving me wrong. You've been proving me wrong this past 3 weeks, and I know that you'll probably do it again. So I got your back this week, buddy. Manningception, give him 104. Taking Robbie's money, 93. That's it for the matchups, and we'll see you guys later on. Have a great day. Bye.